soul stands up, but now I'm starting to need to bleed to fill this cup. It's like I'm starting to need to bleed to fill this cup. Oh.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to The Working Wing, the podcast where every week we bring you news from around the country and around the world and break it down from our own unique working leftist perspective. My name is Tim Schultz, and joining me, as always, my dear friend, longtime debate partner, and a man who can get a bit boring about his special cheeses, Killian Collins.
Good to be here, Tim. And good to be here with everyone. Sorry about my mic today. I rearranged some stuff, and it's a little experimental right now. So, it's we're doing a little podcast on Monday morning instead because I got a little vacay on this weekend instead of Memorial Day weekend. Happy Memorial Day!
Happy Memorial Day, everyone!
You know, celebrate all those soldiers that have been dying for U.S. imperialism unnecessarily. Very much not the best thing to talk about all the time for me and those other ones who have lost loved ones for a useless, silly cause that causes far more harm across the world than it really does protect people. But I still going to honor those who have who sacrificed the ultimate. So here's the hammer salute for you good old folks out there. For
the hammer salute.
Hammer salute. The communists are out there looking out for you. I'm sure you Tim, you got your anarchists looking out there.
Yeah, I say because communists hate when people die for their country. Communists have never sent millions of people to die for useless causes.
Well, wait till that. I mean, wait. Let's not get into the whole let's because I'm gonna then start asking what are anarchists really accomplishing? The whole expecting everyone to just volunteer for the shit in the first place and not have to fight imperialism like that exactly. So. But anyway, we do have a lot to say about the Succession episode. On the other hand,
We absolutely do.
Speaking of sibling bickering and
yes.
ruining deals and good times for people.
Yes,
we're very accustomed to.
In a way, we are the Roy siblings. Yes.
For sure, dude. For fucking sure. Yeah, there was a lot of comeuppance and things that I wanted to. And Tim, you were telling me that you were perusing Reddit, and of course, that lovely community just had
they are having a full the Ken dolls are having a full on meltdown.
That's the I'm guessing that's the part of the fandom that really is enthusiastic about Ken getting everything.
Yes, exactly. I mean, we'll get into it later on. But yes, there were people who somehow watched all 4 seasons of Succession and were somehow rooting for the kids to win at the end. I don't get that, but there you have it.
I mean, rooting for and placing your bet. I don't know. Some people put emotional stock in these things, and it's a little silly sometimes. 1 second, I gotta try a little something here. All right. Well, anyway, we're going to start this one out. First of all, this episode title is called...
are we going to get into the debt ceiling?
Oh, shit. Yeah, we are. Yeah, I'm sure. We're going to get into one of the news.
Basically, I mean, poor people got fucked again for absolutely no reason. Optimist will tell you poor people didn't get fucked that hard, and that this was really just what they got was a little bit of... I don't know. The Republicans needed something so that they could declare a victory on this whole thing. But, all right. Basically, the terms, as I understand it, no debt limit until January of 2025. So all of this will happen again in less than 2 years.
Yeah.
Caps spending growth to 1% for at least the next 2 years. I think Republicans are saying that it's 6 years. Democrats are saying that it's 2 years. Expanding work requirements for SNAP, but it also, Democrats will tell you, expands exemptions for veterans and adult kids who were in the foster system as children. So the White House is trying to say that the number of people on SNAP will remain steady, even though they're adding work requirements. Let's see here. Expands work requirements for the temporary aid to needy families. And then there's about 30 billion in pandemic money clawback from like rental assistance and like student loan assistance and all of that stuff. And then there's about 20 billion diverted from the IRS over the next 2 years. And then student loan repayments, 100% guaranteed, will restart at the end of August.
Yeah. A lot to look forward to.
Well, and honestly, looking at all of these things, I think the two biggest ones are the 20 billion in diverted funds from the IRS, because like the whole thing was, oh, we're going to give all this money to the IRS, but they're going to use it to go after rich people this time. And I think specifically the money that they had like slated to like hire new like top level accountants, that's all gone. So
yeah,
it's back to nickel and diming poor people for the IRS, I'm pretty sure. And then the student loan repayments, that's going to hurt a lot of people, and I think that's going to fuck up the economy more than like anybody's willing to say.
Yep, and we'll see the effects of it, because okay, guess what? We've been going through a recession without that coming back.
Exactly.
So, yeah, not very fun. Democrats caving again, as always, to Republicans because they can't play chicken. And honestly, they're in the same boat of like not really like kind of keeping their base desperate. Like I've honestly just been thinking about just like how much their base relies upon just scaring people into just showing like, hey, look at all these rights being taken away. And then you point out that, well, yeah, but I gave you power to like make sure that wasn't taken away. And they're like, right. And they're like, right. It's like, we need,
but you didn't do it.
We need more votes.
Yeah. We had 52 people in the Senate, but we need 60 in order to actually do anything. So vote like, more, idiot.
Well, why don't you guys like tooth and claw this? Because like every time I see the Republicans with like as the slimmest majority, they're getting away with these murders and shit.
Yeah,
you guys are like, well, we can't do anything with 48 if we just had a majority. And it's like we give you a majority, and you're like fucking like you're like fucking like you know, Empire troopers, like, you know, you just fucking can't shoot shit. Like you just let them get away all the time.
Right. And to me, that's the biggest takeaway every time with this debt ceiling is that it's all pointless fucking bullshit.
At the end of the day, these neocons and neoliberals, they're all neoliberals at the end of the day.
Yeah. Like, and these neoliberal, like the neoliberals who have the R next to the name aren't going to take the economy any more than the Democrats are.
No.
But the Democrats just believe them every time they say they're going to do it, and they cave every fucking time. Like people are like, oh, the Republic. Like I go on, you know, like r/politics, and people are like, look at these crazy Republicans. They don't care about crashing the economy, and it's like, no, they do. They just know that if they pretend that they're going to, Democrats will believe them. It's been working for them for 30 years now. It's literally insanity. It's the Democrats do the same shit over and over and hope for a different result. It's maddening. It's infuriating.
Yeah. But the thing is though, is it's you're still going to have like a very desperate base that's going to say like, well, they're the only thing we have for and right now what it is like for just blocking like the states that like have abortion restrictions on them. And that's basically like one of the still core key issues that are like keeping people voting for him steady, and like at least in red blue states and like blue states and like mostly red bluish states and blue and some reddish ones across the ways. I mean, I don't know, like red states can like if they have
Kansas had a big vote, right? Like a big referendum where a bunch of people came out to block abortion restrictions.
Yeah. Yeah, or I even in just like, and this is a couple of years ago, but even like fucking like even Florida got like a higher minimum wage passed.
Yeah,
like that still is like.
I mean, Florida's been through it over the past couple years.
Yeah. No,
they've
for
swung
sure.
pretty wildly.
No, for sure. But it still is like, if you have a different approach with some of these things, it's like, well, yeah, if you approach each state like locally, like I feel like you can get like more of a sway with some of these issues than kind of a blanket approach that you think is going to work from like each east coast to coast and like all through all the middle of it too. That's
I agree.
Democrats seem like they kind of think that like most of their strategies are going to be blanket statements across like the whole nation. And I think when like a strategy blows up in their face, they're very reluctant to work around it or change their tactics at all.
Yeah.
They don't want to admit fault.
Communalism, not communism.
Communalism. Well, I don't know what you mean by that, my friend, but
that's basically like a focus on like local first and building up from local politics.
Hey, it's a start. I mean, you can do certain things. I mean, there's certain things you can do with it, but I think it's more so what I'm trying to get at with Democrats is I think that their ideas, they expect to be kind of more blanket statements that they think that every American will believe, and they're not really.
Well, yeah, but like also, I mean, like, yes, but like also, like there are big blanket statements that people do believe. Like a majority of people want legalization. A majority of people believe in abortion rights. Like recently, over the past few years, the majority have come to believe that we need stronger gun control. But having a majority of people believe in those things doesn't translate into those things actually happening because of like the fucked up power structures that we have in this country.
Well, exactly. It sounds like we kind of need a majoritarian party. I think there's a word for that in Russian. Maybe Bolshevik. So there's my little commie rebuttal there.
Because in communist Russia, the working man did have all the power, of course.
Well, hey, I'm just pointing out that Bolshevik means majoritarian.
Yes, and democratic means that everyone has a vote, but we know that's
not what this party means.
Exactly.
A Republican is not what this party means.
Yeah, exactly. We know sometimes the words that people put on these things are ultimately bullshit. But anyway, speaking of bullshit,
aren't we all that?
Aren't we all that? Aren't the main characters of a highly touted, beloved show that in the end? And yeah, let's move into the finale of Succession.
Oh man, it's been a long time coming.
It really has been.
Been a long time coming.
And this episode, I mean, it kind of opens with like everyone very much like in their element. Some of the criticism I've seen about this finale is that it kind of just reset everything to the first episode. And like as far as it goes, like you see Kendall at the start, and he is like very much just classic Kendall. Like he's not a person; he's like a walking machine that just spouts, business platitudes about like let's go.
Oh yeah, dude! It looks like he's been watching Gary Vee all day, and like he's just like he's ready to make Monday morning his bitch. Ooh. Yeah, he's ready to make Monday morning his bitch, and he just doesn't really fucking. He's spouting up the whole thing. Yeah, it starts off with like the camera shots too, or it's kind of like him being followed by the camera, and just he's walking and ready to fucking do business like into Roy Stowaway Co. And basically given some bad news by an advisor right away is that like Stewie's out. Stewie's what.
Stewie's interesting here, right? Because yes, the status of Stewie is an ongoing question. But Kendall is being told like, dude, you don't have it, and he's saying nope. He's got his reality distortion field up. He is going to get the votes. The guy he's talking to, is that Tellus? Is that the elusive Tellus that he's talking to in his office?
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's him. I'm not sure who Tellus ever was. Tellus sounded older when he was on the phone, but I'm not sure. That could just be on the phone type of shit.
It might be, but yeah, whatever consultant he's talking to is like, what about Roman? Is Roman even gonna fucking show up for this vote? And Kendall is like, don't give a fuck about Roman, but Roman is with me, absolutely. But also, I don't give a fuck about Roman, and fuck him. But also, he's absolutely with me. And then we go over to Shiv and Madsen, and Shiv is also like kind of in her season 1 element of, this isn't a political campaign, but it's close enough. She is buzzing around. She is also tallying all the votes. She thinks that she's got pretty much everyone locked.
Oh yeah, like she's. I mean, Ken's delusional, thinking that he's gonna like just make it happen. But he's in panic mode. But like she's very much. I mean, she is peeling it off. Like she's getting what she needs, and she's like. Lucas is smiling and saying that like, oh, she's pushing herself as U.S. CEO, and like,
Lucas is smiling, and then we also get a shot in this scene of a magazine article that depicts Shiv as a puppeteer pulling on Madsen's strings.
Yeah,
and I think at a certain point, Shiv asks him about the article. She's like, I can have that journalist, taken out. And he's like, no, it's funny. I don't believe that for a second. And we'll come back to that later. But
but Shiv asks about Tom. And she's kind of doing that lame little thing about like saying like, yeah, he's expendable, but like, yeah, he's like really good if you like need someone to chop off. But like, yeah, I mean, I can understand if you don't want to get rid of him, but it's like,
yeah, he's like continuity. He's good corporate fodder. He's interchangeable, but you can also totally kill him if you want to. Who cares? But also, he's biddable, and he'll just suck the biggest dick in the room always.
Yes.
Yeah. Which, like, yeah, when she's like, you can kind of like see the gears start to roll here of like her laying out Tom's resume for Madsen, and Madsen kind of taking it in.
Yeah, as in like, well, and then then the mom calls Shiv, and she asks if Shiv is coming to her house, and Roman is there. He went to his mom. Like he guess he went to his mom after
he got his shit beat. Knocked in by the protesters last episode. Yeah, I'm kind of curious, like, how long has actually passed here? It seems like it's been at least a few days, right?
Right, because it's like she's in Barbados.
Yeah, she's in Barbados.
Like, I thought she was down the street, and he like went to her hotel or something, and it's like, oh, okay, so he like went to Barbados.
Well, it seems like everyone can get to Barbados pretty easily. They all show up like later that day at her house,
right? Like instantly, which I'm just it's kind of like, oh yeah, this is going to my mom's house in Barbados. Yeah, no problem.
The rich, they don't live the way we do.
No, Mom, how the fuck am I gonna get to Barbados, Mom? Like, I don't care if you you just go to a pool in like fucking Wisconsin. Like it's bro, it's like 79 degrees out here. It's a Memorial Day weekend. But she wants to but Shiv basically wants to nail Roman's vote since he's vulnerable. And she doesn't want and she brings up to Luke that hey, I'm gonna get his vote, and like just so we have like more continuity, more votes. I don't want it to bring I don't want it to be Lady Macbeth Part 2.
She frames it to him as an associate of mine has located Roman, just like trying to seem more capable than she is, but like I guess she didn't want to say like, oh, my mommy called me and now I gotta go talk to my little brother.
Yeah. Like obviously she's kind of keeping shit, and she's expecting the Swede not to notice. Like he is just mushrooming out all the time. But then Shiv calls Tom, tells her that tells Tom that Rome's at her mom's, and Tom is like kind of pacing the floor, also wondering like what's Luke saying about me? Is Luke gonna kill me? Like, am I set? Like, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen to me? And Shiv's kind of like I said something, don't worry, like whatever. I really want to straighten other things out.
Yes, like. So I think this conversation makes more sense in the context of the ending And this episode really kind of put into context for me a lot of the stuff we've seen from Shiv, where like, because like we've talked about it a lot, talking about this season about just how like all over the place Shiv seems, and I think in retrospect, a lot of that is just her genuinely kind of revolving around this question of what is her family, like what was it in the past, you know, how did it affect her, and what does she want her family to be going forward, of like looking at her dad and being like, man, how bad was this for like everyone involved.
Yeah. Yeah. The whole conversation was I kind of had to like save this conversation for a little bit because I was like, wow, there's a lot of subtext that's hitting me right away.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
I kind of found myself running back, and I just wrote down like just breaking down like, well, are there any positives about this nightmare? Well, if there were, it would be convenient if there were any nightmares about it. That's what Chip kind of responds with. And Tom says like, oh yeah, that'd be hilarious because, you know, that'd be really convenient because I'd be your husband. And just like,
yeah, you'd
like,
still be married to your husband. And
right.
she's like,
Like
they're
these
like,
little,
just think of the scheduling opportunities.
right.
And it is weird. It is weird in the context of like where they ended up, of like her wanting to run away from what her family has been. But like, yeah, I don't know. It's weird. It's a weird conversation, and Shiv is a weird character.
Yeah.
Who I think I'm still going to be grappling with after.
Oh yeah, like I have questions. I actually have like serious questions with this ending with her too, as it goes along. But yeah, it's kind of like yeah, Shiv is really trying to like just end this on top. Like she doesn't want to give away too much still to anybody. She doesn't want to admit that like I fucked up and like there's things about me, there's things about you I really appreciate. But she doesn't want to just like say that without like knowing he's gonna say something back. Like without which
Yeah.
which it's Tom, and he totally would. Like he totally wants to be all over her, but he has to like restrain himself because of the way she won't really respect him if he does withhold that. Like that's kind of what I'm realizing is
Yeah,
like,
and she kind of lays out that like, and maybe this is just an artifact of her being her father's daughter, but she's always kind of like, she says in every relationship she's always had in the back of her mind of like, what are the worst, most awful things people could do or say to each other. And she kind of lays out for Tom that you know, we've hit that point. We have done and said the worst possible things to each other. So now it's all stress free. Now we know.
Yeah.
Now
you can
we have categorized all. We have seen and categorized all the demons facing us, and now we can just move on. You know, walking alongside those demons in a way. And Tom doesn't seem to be so sure.
No, he yeah, when she asked that um when she asked how yeah, if there really is a chance that they can like give a real relationship a shot, he really does not know. And it's also just kind of like, yeah, like I also don't know if I can blame him entirely because he doesn't even know what she's asking.
Yeah.
He doesn't even like he doesn't know,
like what does the relationship going forward even look at this point? Look like at this point.
Right. Yeah. She would also admit that she's like a scaredy cat in relationships, that she's like she's afraid of being the underling in this. And it's like also kind of apparent in this conversation too, of that she doesn't want to give anything away. Like even to someone that like it's like she loves him very conditionally. And it's like but she still like definitely loves him, but she only will give it conditionally if it's like he's doing what she wants. But yeah, like I can see his position entirely because he doesn't know entirely what he's going to do. I would just stick with what he has, like working with ATN, even like with or without her name, like not knowing like what's you know what they're really in for. And then Shiv just abruptly hangs up and says like, okay, goodbye. Like
yeah.
like just completely regresses again. Like
just backs out of that conversation super hard,
yeah,
which is understandable.
yeah,
Because it really did. Yeah, the putting yourself out there like that and then getting a I really don't know is tough.
yeah, yeah. Like Tom got some cold moves sometimes. uh, then we cut to Ken leaving Stewie voicemails. Yeah, just still not getting anything. Then Ken calls Rome.
Oh no, Ken finds out that Rome is at his mom's house.
Oh yeah, through Hugo.
Through Greg and Ratfucker Sam via Hugo. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, mom does not like oh yeah. Rome scene there with Shiv arriving with like a bandaged head. And like, that was the first we saw of him. And her mom, like, we see Caroline there in person.
Yeah, I love this exchange with Caroline about how she finds eyes revolting.
Yes, like they're little face eggs.
Face eggs, yeah.
I couldn't do it. Peter had to do it for me.
Eyes are, yeah. It's just. I think it shows just like what a fundamentally cold person she is.
Where she just doesn't want she doesn't want to look at people's eyes. Where
yeah, eyes are the windows to the soul, as the old saying goes. And yeah, Carolyn hates dealing with that. Little eggs just floating around in there.
Yeah,
it's like no, that's where emotion is supposed to be, Carolyn. Like that's.
I don't want to have to deal with these hard truths or any of that. Yeah, but then Ken finally gets a hold of Stewie. And
he finds out that Stewie is on his side ish, and he also finds out that Madsen has been hanging out with Lawrence. Speaking of specters from the first episode, Vulture Lawrence has been hanging out with Madsen.
Yeah,
and I think Kendall immediately kind of sees what's going on, that Madsen is shopping around for new CEOs. Because he raises that with Shiv later, but the wheels are turning there too.
Yeah. So he shows up at Barbados to his mom's little paradise in Barbados and screams out, "Romy, where are you?" He's like in that full older brother, like, I'm gonna get you, like, business acumen. Hunt for Red October is over.
Hide and seek is over. I found you.
Shows up to Rome, sitting with Shiv and like the little patio, like under an umbrella on the patio. Like very aggressive, like, "Oh, what's happening to your face, man? Like, hey, what's she telling you?" Like very, very bullish.
And Roman is so like passive and muley here. Like, I mean, that's kind of his vibe for the entire episode, but like here in particular, he is really like. His hands are like always up. He's just trying to like wave off the pressure from his siblings in like a physical way.
Yeah, like I kind of feels like at this point, if he's not going to get it, it seems like he just wants to like be away from it. He doesn't even want to be around. It's kind of like what like Ken was like at the end of season 3, where at the end he just didn't want to be around any of the siblings, which is another point that's going to be brought up later. Yeah, but anyway, Ken starts really causing a scene with like his bombastic questioning. Like Rome gets really defensive right away, and Shiv is, of course, like being.
She's standing again. She's like tries to put herself between Roman and Kendall for this scene.
Yeah,
trying to place herself as like fending off Kendall's aggression, but she is there with her screwdriver too.
Yeah,
trying to pry Roman open.
For sure. But Ken is like way more. Yeah, Kendall is acting like there is way more on the line for him. Like,
right, because right now Ken is losing.
Yeah. Right now Ken is like totally losing, and it's I have Rome saying like you're living in a clown world. And he like fucks off. I think he like fucks off to his mom at that point, and he says I got into a violent fight, which I won. Like he's so passive and like and frilly about his little fake injury, and I mean he's rejecting a lot of like shame and guilt that he has like with all of this too, and especially with this mark later on. Eventually when they cry to mom and mom comes for all the commotion, she asks everyone if they're staying for dinner.
Yeah, and Shiv, Kendall is like, "Mom, I don't have time for dinner," and then Shiv uses that to gloat on him, to stunt on him, and then Ken agrees to go to
That
dinner.
he's like losing. He's losing, so he can't stay for dinner. So like, yeah, he then agrees and says he has to be out in the morning.
It seems like it's a pretty shitty dinner though. Like it's like salad and a little bit of fish. That
who would want to have dinner with this woman? Who would want to have dinner with this woman, dude? Like I would rather eat dirt than eat dirt or just not eat for the night than like eat dinner with this woman.
I mean, given what we see of her fridge later, I'm wondering like what the fuck anyone is eating at this house. It's like little scraps
at these psycho British people's house in Barbados. Like,
yeah,
you fucking kidding?
They have the fridge of a poor person. It's like no, like her fridge looks like my fridge. It's crazy.
Yeah, like I think my grandparents' fridge is more stocked up than that. Yeah, Tom and Greg. Then we got to Tom and Greg at an art studio, and I don't know. Are they with like Waystar Roycorp people there?
No, they're there with Madsen.
Okay, they're with Madsen's
one of those.
gang.
It's one of those vibe check hangouts that Madsen has been doing.
Yeah, I was wondering on the gig they were doing this at, but yeah, Tom tells Greg that like you need to like look around and get information. Like you need to look around. Like my head's on the fucking chopping block. You need to like find your purpose.
He starts like the line of like goading and pranking and messing with Greg that eventually like nearly implodes this entire deal for him. Because he's like, Greg, you're the most highly paid assistant in human history. Apparently, Greg makes $200K, which is both a lot and also surprisingly little.
I mean, I feel like it's like the liability for like the crimes he's committing. Like, I feel like it's mostly that.
But I would at least want like $500K for committing all those crimes.
Right. Well, Greg can't negotiate. Like that's one of his big problems is that like he doesn't learn a fucking thing. And we'll get to that later. We'll get to that.
It puts in that moment where he turned down a cool 250 million from Logan into perspective.
Yeah. Yeah. It really does. I mean, wait, wasn't that 250 mil from Ewan? That wasn't that his chunk he was going to be left?
Yeah.
When he gets out of the business with Logan, he get 250 mil, which is like I would say yes to instantly.
Oh, in a heartbeat, of course.
Yeah, instantly. I'd be like, oh, I don't have to work with like a psycho.
I mean, as
anymore.
Much as
Grandpa. Oh hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah, Grandpa. Like I'm down. Like,
but Greg has always had dollar signs in his eyes, and
yeah. Yes, I also have here. Tom says if I get fired, you're fucked. We're on the family.
Yeah, exactly.
Motherfucker. So, and then we come to the morning. Ken comes out to Shiv relaxing on the beach out there, saying the early bird catches the worm.
Yes, and then and this scene, Shiv uses their own shitty startup idea against them, being like, hey guys, I'll totally sell you my my stake in the 100, and you guys can go do that. And they're immediately like, "Oh fuck you, Shiv!" Like,
yeah. Like she's,
and I think this is when Kendall brings up that Madsen is talking to Lawrence.
Yeah, and then Rome comes out, says, "Oh, take a swing at me. I'm the human vote. Who wants me here?" But Shiv gloats, but Shiv basically gloats back to Ken that she's winning and basically asks for their support, saying that whole like I just wish you guys would just back me up as like I'm winning right now. It'd be cool.
Cunt is as cunt does. Kendall says.
Yeah, for her attitude of she won, she played it better, so eat it. right, which is exactly what it is. It's like, man, if you're gonna be that hard of a bitch, like don't be surprised when people are that when people bring out the knives for you. Especially when she has been treated with kid gloves for a couple of these things where but granted
she was at the start she was just shut out by her father. Specifically because she's a girl and doesn't really belong in business, or, in a way, like Logan really throws out all of his kids in different ways, but it's all very deep psychological shit.
Yeah, it really is with all these characters. I can't wait till like what one of the narcissist psychology channels like say about this, because there's a lot of reveal with all this. Yeah, and then we cut to Tom take with and Luke out to dinner.
And this scene is fascinating.
Yes, it is.
This is absolutely fascinating.
This is another one where I had to go back and rewatch this because it's kind of like in history where, like, you know, sometimes, like, you know, 2 weeks happens in decades, and then sometimes
decades of history happens in 2 weeks.
Yes, exactly, and that's
sometimes
exactly what this
sometimes it really does pivot on two guys eating bad fish, and then one empty suit doing a soft pitch for a job he doesn't really understand he's in line for.
Yeah,
but he he kind of sets himself up perfectly, because he basically describes himself as, I am simple, I follow my boss.
Yep.
I cut off heads and gouge.
Yep.
I cut cost, juice residue. I cut off heads and harvest eyeballs.
Revenue.
I have a high, you know. He talks about how he's like a constantly like anxious ball of worry, and so
I'm a grinder. I grind because I worry. I worry about my physical, like my physical dimensions. I worry about, I worry about everything around me, and I have excess for vigilance. And I have to take a lot of high tolerance for pain
and discomfort. And then, which is like he could not have said anything better. And then we move into, all right, I have my own theory about what happens next. Because, like, Madsen kind of lays out that, like, I don't need Shiv. I know fucking everything. The politics is easy. I don't need the family name.
Yeah.
And then he starts talking about how he wants to fuck Shiv Roy, Tom's wife, to Tom. And he says, under the right circumstances, Shiv would fuck me too. And then he tries to say that this is why he's not going to go with Shiv as CEO. And I think that part is absolute bullshit. I do not think that Madsen actually cares about sexual tension with an underling, because he's been fucking Eva and sending her blood for years.
Yeah, and he says it's messy.
He says it's messy, but like Madsen is a messy guy.
Yeah.
And I really do think it comes down to the puppets on the string thing. And I really think that this whole, I want to fuck your wife and your wife wants to fuck me, is just a test for Tom. Yeah. This is the final test to be the US CEO of, can you listen to me talk about wanting to fuck your wife and go with it? Like, will you let me do whatever the fuck I want to you and not say anything?
Like shut the fuck up and like take it. And
Tom does. Tom says,
yeah,
no, we're men. We can talk about
we can talk about that. And then at that point, when that's already said, yeah, then Lucas gets into the very dangerous stuff where he's like, well, no, I need an American who can who can do it. Like, I don't want her to get information out of me, manipulate me with just like her look. She's smart. And it's kind of like he needs a dumb guy.
He's not looking for a partner.
No,
he's going to get messy with ATN. He's going to cut things up. He's going to open up the guts. People are going to fucking hate it, and he wants someone who can take all that hate.
Yeah. Like I need a pain sponge for that. And he's like, "Are you going to do that?" And Tom will do fucking. Tom has proven that it's like, yeah, you'll cuck me with my wife. Like, yeah, I'll do anything. Like,
honestly. Put in like this whole situation as it's laid out, it kind of reminded me of like the job of being commissioner of a major sports league. Like, this job is outlined as always how I've kind of thought about Roger Goodell in the NFL, of like he doesn't actually like make the calls about like big decisions in the league. That's made by the 32 owners. He is a pain sponge. He is a human flak jacket to take all the hate that their decision caused.
Your connection's really, your connection okay?
I've had a couple of interrupts, but I think I'm all right.
Okay. I may sound a little digitally in my end, but yeah, like in terms of a sports commissioner for like a league, I can kind of see what you're talking about in terms of
very little operational power, but a lot of mean op-eds in the New York Times.
Yeah. 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 But they have shots to celebrate.
They have shots to celebrate, and then they get a little bit loose in Swedish talking about their plans. Mm. And Greg, in one of like the more cunning maneuvers we've ever seen Greg makes, he opens up his Google Translate app and gets the gist that Shiv is not going to be the U.S. CEO.
Yeah. Well, and that's after he talks to Tom, and Tom just tells him like,
"You're fucked on pay, but we're gonna be okay."
Yeah.
Which like Greg panics and is like, "I don't want to get fucked on pay, so I better go scramble and squeal to Ken."
Right. Right. But yeah, he translates their conversation, and back at Mom's house, they're having dinner, and Ken's leaving tomorrow. The dinner at the horrible British lady's house. I love this part.
Yeah.
Mom tells them that maybe like selling it to that awful man. And he's like, maybe just for the best that you just be rid of this fucking
Which
company.
He's right. I honestly agree with Caroline here.
Yeah.
I agree with Shiv, where like selling is the best thing to do.
Yeah, where you'll all be rich. Like you'll all be rich, and you'll all just be able to settle like without.
Yeah, and they demand an apology for seasons. Ken demands an apology for what happens at the end of season 3 in Italy. But like, I mean, they're kind of all still exactly where they were, where Caroline wants them to sell, and they don't want to sell.
Yeah, yeah.
And then Caroline springs on them of like, okay, you guys are just arguing, so now it's time to be pitched at.
Yeah.
Which, in all honesty, is the real reason why she wanted her kids here, was to hear her husband's friend's shitty business idea.
Which I love the fact we don't even hear what it is. Like
we hear that there's creamy margins, and then after Ken comes back, we're hearing he's like, say, bottom line, to put it in a way, they can't get us on this. So it seems like it's pretty fucking sketch, whatever they're doing.
Yeah, yeah, they super fucking sketchy. Like I'm definitely probably some crypto shit for sure.
Probably.
But yeah, right away, Ken takes a call, and it is Greg the Egg, and Greg is saying that like, hey, I got some like really awesome info that's gonna be really cool if you guys like. But can you guys like win? Like, can I really fully quad up if I give you this? And of course, Ken's just saying anything.
Oh yeah, absolutely, whatever you want, Greg.
Yeah. Okay. So like buckle up because it's quite something. And Greg basically tells them it's not going to be Shiv. They've shopped around for somebody else. Didn't tell him who. Still that's still kind of smart, but it's not.
And then Kendall calls someone else, a mysterious someone who we don't know.
I think it's Carol, the other Caroline. Like,
yeah, I think so. That's Carolina. Yeah, that makes
Carolina.
Sense to me.
I think it was her.
Because it's her document that gets sent, right? The draft announcement that doesn't have Shiv's name on it.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. Ken returns to the bullshit pitch and like grabs a Shiv, and Rome comes out with them. And of course, their mom says it's the rudest thing ever. Luke is interviewing. He tells him that Luke is interviewing for an alternative CEO. Shiv calls Luke, and there's no answer. And Shiv is like saying like, "Oh, you're trying some desperate tactics on me. You're trying some desperate stuff on me. It's gonna work. It's gonna work." Or like that's such a sibling family thing to do. Of like, you guys hear this desperate shit, and she's like calling Lucas to like confirm, and he's going like, "Yeah, is he answering?"
Lucas is ghosting her.
Yeah. But she's cocky as fuck still about it. She calls Carolina, and she finds out that they've erased her off the documents with just a screaming like motherfucker off in the distance.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, it is crossed. It is X'd out. So the siblings are still in the dark about who is being called for.
And And it seems kind of sloppy on Madsen's part to just have a document with like Shiv's name removed, just like floating out there.
Yeah, pretty sloppy. Best not to have that out there, even if it's like, especially when you don't have it called yet. Like,
yeah.
But yeah, she returns upset. They decide to call Tellus, which is one of their business advisors. I'm not sure if it's the guy at the beginning of the episode, might be one of their business lawyers. But I mean, the way that Ken like started at first with this conversation of just saying, "Hey, it's just like a friendly exchange, no big deal if anything."
Yeah, he like steals off some like legal business mumbo jumbo that's got Shiv rolling her eyes.
Yeah. Yeah, some total bullshit. Like, business interests include a fat fun commish,
Yeah. And so yeah, Tellus says, yeah, it makes sense that he's shopping around because he doesn't need the family name. He needs someone with chops, and Shiv doesn't. And then they cut him off and be like, "Hey, yo, Shiv is right here, listening to everything you say."
Right. And he's like, "Well, sorry, you don't."
Right, and they kind of sound him out about like, could it be a troika that takes charge? And Tellus is like, no, people have had enough of like the fuckboy bandwagon.
Yeah, and she's like, who calls us that? And she's
everyone,
like, every fucking buddy.
Every fucking buddy. You guys are the fuck brother bandwagon.
Yeah.
And then they hang up with Tellus, and we get the stuff like, all right, Roman was offered to it last. Shiv was offered it at various points throughout the series. And Kendall talks about how this is kind of like an original trauma for Kendall, was 7-year-old Kendall Roy being sat down in his father's kitchen and told, kind of like that scene from The Lion King where, everything the sun touches, one day this will all be yours. And that really did fuck Kendall up for life in a very big way.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it was really fucked up that he said that to all of them at various points, because it comes up later on, and they're even admitting it. It's like, yeah, that's like a different fucked up kind of trauma, is saying that you're gonna get that, and just keeping that the fuck away. But they definitely need a solid business plan with a solid leader.
Yeah.
Coming from the three of them. And that's the thing, is that like what they need to figure out is that it shouldn't be any of the three of them. They should really figure out from this conversation that it should be somebody else. Like it should be Jerry or something.
It should be Jerry. Like if the Sibs had come to everyone being like, our plan is to have Jerry be the CEO. Right. I think everyone would have gotten on board with that.
Right. Like it would just like maybe like Rome would have been like against it wholly, but it's like also like I would have been like, it would have been like, okay, but you probably should make amends, and she's holding the company by the balls, and it's rather just good to just kind of just give her this, because she would actually be good at it. Rather than like any of this like bullshit about like, well, it was promised to me and like I'm the most ready among the three of us. And like, while I would agree among Ken is probably like,
among those three, Ken is the best option, but they're all like American politics. They're all shitty fucked options.
They're all fucked. It should not be either one of them. Like Ken would have been like, what Ken should have done is the first part is then like, yeah, I'm stepping down and giving it to someone more competent. Like you should really do that.
But his inability to see that there could be anyone more competent is kind of the whole point of Ken. At one point in this scene, Roman is talking about how fucked up it is that him crying at his dad's funeral would count against him. To which Ken is like, no, man, that's, maybe you're well adjusted and I'm the business psycho. And it's like, well, okay, you are a business psycho, Ken, but Roman is not well adjusted.
No, I think that's him being nice, but I do think, Roman's being a fucking crybaby with all this, though. I do have to say, because it is just like, well, yeah, you cried at your dad's funeral. I mean, everyone does and that type of thing, but it's like also you are going to give this big rousing speech that you couldn't even word out for a second. And you were thinking that this was going to be, and that was his big proof that like I can run this. I can be.
And he claps in every possible way in that moment.
And it was because he heard genuine opposition that was true.
Yeah,
he heard
a negative point. Whereas Ken kind of like rolled with it and acknowledged it and then moved on to the rousing speech.
Right.
Roman just could not get there.
Right. No, that's the thing, is it's like he heard that reality and he couldn't just like fight it and say like, yeah, he's a liar. He was just relying on this stump speech that he had written when he had confidence that he couldn't muster together back once like he was like his beliefs were shaken to his core. And it's like, yeah, that's what really broke him down. And he can't really, I mean, and it's just kind of one of those things where it's, if you really challenge someone's beliefs and the extent of them, and they're not allowed to break down or challenge that, they're kind of like, they might just break down. They might just be like, do something else when, especially when he's put in a position where he has to like improvise and try something new and he doesn't know what to do at all in the least. And yeah, Ken had to mop up that mess. And the thing is that Ken, here's the other thing about like this with the course of the series, Ken's mopped up a lot of this company's messes. Like I would say in terms of like hulling for the company, I'm like, well, yeah, Ken's paid the price. Like the only thing like he say he did all that shit. He gutted Walter for his dad. He fucking was going to like go to jail like at the I mean like after testifying to Congress and like actually giving the only good competent testimony to defend his company. Like when they'd all done all this shit that they'd like already like were totally guilty of. He actually defended them out of it and then was going to pay the price like to his dad because, you know, Shiv didn't want Tom to go. And so he had to like fucking jump his way out of that. And now because his dad's gone, he wants to like run his company.
Yeah.
Like it's so it's like yeah, like paying that kind of baggage when like Shiv and Rome did not kind of have to make those kind of sacrifices. They got just kind of like they just got to bask in the glory of having that.
I mean, a bit, yeah.
I mean, Ken was doing dumb shit like throwing parties for himself, like vain parties for his 40th birthday. But yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to explain some of the psychology and entitlement that like might have added up to why Kendall was so keen on this choice too.
And he kind of like confronts Roman with the fact of like, do you even want this job?
Yeah.
Like, and Roman kind of just walks away from that, and he's telling Shiv he doesn't want it. He just can't bring himself to say it. Shiv actually does want it, but like Ken kind of brings up the like, literally 3 hours ago, you were like all in on Madsen, and if we go in there with you, we're not going to look credible.
No, that does not look like a solid plan at all with a solid leader. And that's her problem too. Is like she's always playing both sides.
It is. It's been her strategy throughout this season, at least, if not the entire show. But
I'd say most of the time that's her. I mean that's her problem. Most,
but
it
works for her too. It kind of gets her exactly not where she wanted to be, but it gets her where she ultimately wants to go.
Oh, I mean, I'm gonna say in politics, it got her absolutely nowhere. Like. Like I was really wondering with that. I'm just like, oh, you're working for the progressive guy, but you don't want him to be like super corrupt when he's like fighting corruption. No. Like I don't know what the fuck you're what political acumen.
I'm gonna back a progressive candidate and then chide him for going too hard on rich people. Right. You're right. Like yeah, she has always wanted it both ways.
Yeah.
And then so next we get all three of them walking down to the water. And Ken is still talking about his reverse Viking Gojo, and then talking about like kind of giving out fiefdoms to his siblings like Napoleon. You know, you can have Italy and Sicily, you can have ATN, and you can have social media. You'll fuck it all up again, and it'll be hilarious.
Yeah, a little demented fantasy here.
But I mean, this is kind of the start of the feel good part of the episode. This is the start of like the Roy siblings actually being human beings, just like together, kind of doing the sibling thing, which has always been their most human moments of the show. And this is probably the longest and strongest like sense of that we get. This whole scene of them, you know, basically from the point where you know, Kendall gets in the water and swims to the jetty, and then Roman and Shiv plot his murder. and
Yeah.
do their mediocre Kendall Roy impressions about.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
totally murdered me. What the hell?
Right, and it starts out like at first I'm thinking it's totally that like, oh, they're gonna like, you know, just like business kill the deal, but it's like, oh no, like you know, actually murder me, like would like you guys actually murdered me though, like total surfer bro.
Yeah.
I just don't understand. Which like I feel like it's just kind of like a making fun of Jeremy Strong's like acting.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Like
You kind of get
like
the
it doesn't
impression
even
that
make
like
sense. Like why would you do that? Like
maybe maybe Sarah Snook and Kieran Culkin have done their own Jeremy Strong impressions behind the scenes and are just bringing that to the forefront.
I mean, why wouldn't you? This cast seems really close. Like honestly, like with how good they're acting, like how well they play off each other, they seem like they're closest, like they're thick as thieves. Really.
Yeah.
But yeah, they have that little human moment, just agreeing, like, yeah, let's just fucking give it to him. I just fucking give it to him. We're not gonna like kill the deal because it would kill him. Like, we don't want to kill him. But yeah, they swim up. They swim up to him and they say that
is it Roman or Shiv who says, I don't think Dad wanted to give it to any of us? I think that's Roman.
I think Roman says that too.
I think that's the start of Roman's clarity that comes through until like the end of the episode.
Yeah.
Of like him starting to realize just what the fuck all of this is.
Yeah. Yeah, so he tells them you got your bauble. Enjoy it. It's cursed and it never works. It's haunted. You can
but now Kendall has his bauble, so they have to anoint him.
Yeah.
And they go into like genuinely the most feel-good scene of maybe this entire season. Where they're making a meal for a king, and they're raiding their mom's shitty fridge.
Fit for a king. Meal fit for a king.
Yeah, like you can tell they've done this before. You can tell that they're actually siblings. That's the closest any of them have come to being likable.
Right.
And like watching it, even the first time, I was like, okay, this is a feel-good thing because it's all gonna fall apart. Yeah. I never thought that this was going to end in a triumph for anyone.
Nah. That's not how this series should end. And like, yeah, we'll get to it too. We'll get to like what people are saying about it. But yeah, meal fit for a king is kind of what it sounds like. It's, you know, taking all that gross shit out of your fridge and making your siblings drink it. Like it's making the nastiest motherfucker together.
Yeah, there's like bread, there's milk, there's hot sauce, there's fucking pickles and pickle juice. And
of course, since they're like excited young kids again, mom comes downstairs. Yes. Posh mom comes downstairs and says, like,
they have a block of cheese, and she's like, "That's Peter's special cheese. I've made that mistake myself. He gets rather boring about it."
Oh no, a pissed off British person.
So then, of course, yeah, they mock her mother, they mock her husband and his special cheese. Roman is like giving like cunnilingus.
No, okay, but before we go on to this, I just want to get on because even the little conversation with like this is like one of the last scenes we see with Carol, and she's like, well, it's good seeing you all getting along like this. Even it's like you know,
agreeing with about something other than what a bad mother I am.
Right.
And Shiv's like, we would never disagree about what a terrible
mother
you are.
I mean, I suppose the good part about having like a psychopath for a mother is that you can say fucked up things to her and you'll know that like, well, she doesn't feel feelings. So it's
yeah, exactly. Really cool. Well, yeah, no, that's a great point.
Because like, yeah, she just kind of like takes it like anything else and says like, all right, go, good night. You know, just keep it quiet. You know, Peter said we're recovering from your rudeness.
Jonathan is sleeping, trying to recover from your. Can't wake Jonathan, everybody. We can't wake Jonathan.
Can't wake Jonathan. There's a good special cheese. And like, yeah, Rome is like licking the fuck out of it, like going down.
Yeah, no. Giving more pleasure to that cheese than I would wager he's ever given to a human woman.
Yeah. I think that's pretty fair. Yeah, but like, you know, they of course make, you know, the what they blend up as the meal fit for a king is like an abomination of chocolate and eggshells and whatever gross, nasty shit because they barely find anything in there. They get like frozen bread with
nobbies. Yeah, that's throwing nobbies. Like, you're a nobby. You're a nobby. Shiv catches like 3 of them in a row. Clearly, she missed her calling, and she should be like a professional like softball catcher or something.
Oh, for sure, dude. Like she's like, yeah, I'd wager she might have played some cricket herself. Yeah, but doing it very much as siblings do. With they're supposed to be quiet, but that means like you just are loud quietly.
Yeah.
For whatever good that the fuck is. But once they present the meal for a king, Ken starts chugging it, and I think
chugs it, and then he ends up wearing it, his crown.
Yeah, wearing it upon his head.
I mean, again, just goofy shit, and it's just like these are real people.
Yeah,
broken, I feel like terrible people who don't deserve anything they have in life, but they are real people.
Yeah. Yeah, like I at the end of the episode, I believe they were saying that it's just like no matter what income you were, they're all just kids, they're all just siblings again. And yeah, that is one of those good feelings. And that is most of the good-hearted feelings about this is just when the siblings are just like normal kids. Those are honestly probably the most bright parts in this tragic Shakespearean series. But yeah, we come to the next morning and they're all saying goodbye to their mom on the Barbados island, and yeah, they're all united. They are
all united. They're going to their dad's house.
Yep. They're all getting off the plane, making phone calls, assuring board members, bullying them to make sure that they're on board. And they go to their dad's house, which is Connor's house.
And Connor lays out a system to claim items that I think I would need a fucking master's degree to understand.
Tim, I went back and I reviewed it, and it actually does make sense. But here's the thing. It's explained very dryly, but it's like I'm going to explain it what it is. Basically.
Okay. Yeah,
so basically what it is that like he put all the bereaved people into like tiers. So there's like tier 1, which is like, immediate family. Except like that little bit at the end where he's like, "Oh, I had like first dibs. Like I took like everything
because he bought the house." I mean,
right? Which is I do see that with siblings with like when they loot like the parents' house that like has all the good shit. I've seen it before. Like a late person I know, like of course the older brother was like, "Oh, I'm getting the stereo system." Like, "Oh yeah, hell yeah, I remember that. I remember that thing was." And it's like, of course, whoever's there first, like. Gets their first pick of it, but like his system was like you're in a tier, and you get a certain amount of stickers, and you put stickers on things that like you like, and if they're things that you really like, you can put a couple stickers on it, or put all your stickers on it, that type of thing, and they kind of determine who's gonna get what. And he when he goes to like the other tier of like the second bereaved, there's like Carrie in there with her permanent sad face on. Like going on about that. But it's basically all it is just like you put a sticker on for the things you want. And like if you put enough stickers on it, you'll get it for sure. But it's like you lose stickers for things you want to put on if you want it. But it's like they're in tiers. It's like if a second tier sticker does not rank a first tier 1 type of thing. That's all he was explaining. He was doing it dry as fuck, which really tells me he'd be like a terrible president because he explained some convoluted, like a system that's very easy, very convoluted, like. Because all it is you just put a fucking sticker on it and move on.
Yeah. And then it's revealed that Willow wants to get rid of everything to make room for her own design choices, including a spotted cow couch. Because it turns out this is pretty much going to be her house because she's staying there while Connor goes to Slovakia, unless Madsen loses, or unless Mencken loses in court, in which case
she'll have lots of time to spend.
I think Roman says, "Oh yeah, you guys have the second week itch." Pretty good line.
Dude, I love it so much. I just love it, dude, with Connor's political career. Like I
do want that spinoff so bad.
Yeah, like, I do too.
Connor and Slovakia. Come on, Jeremy. We need come on, we need it. We need it.
Maybe he wrote in that it's just not going to happen. Like, cause like we don't get to the end of it, but we'll get there after this. Yeah, and then we cut to they see an old video of Logan.
No, it's not even an old video. No, it's like a couple weeks old. Yeah,
because Carrie's there.
Yes,
right, and they're all like, and it's very much an old like. You're dining out with like work comrades.
Yeah, Waystar. It's like the Waystar Royco fucking talent show because It starts off with Logan doing a recitation of every presidential loser in American history in reverse order.
Yeah.
Well, complete with like rhymes and jokes in there.
Like Clinton first,
Clinton first, but not the worst. How many fucking elections did you lose today? Yeah, like the kids are like chiming in and
right,
shit. Like,
right, for all this. Which honestly, I want to learn that. Like,
I want to learn that. I want to learn that rhyme. Yeah, fucking podcast goals right there. We'll learn the reverse president loser rhyme. Jerry does a dirty limerick.
Like about Harvard guys and going slow.
Connor does a I'm a Little Teapot has performed by Logan Roy.
Right.
I'm a little teapot, so fuck off. Short and stout. What the fuck did you call me? It's great.
Yeah,
it's great.
Right. Like I feel like he's kind of done that bit since he was a kid.
Yeah. And then Carl, continuing his supporting player MVP role, chimes in with like a fucking beautiful rendition of a.
It's a Scottish song. I looked this up, Tim. It's a famous Scottish song called.
I'm glad you did. I tried to look. I did a little bit of looking on.
Yeah, it's Green Grow the Rashes O, and it's known as the Lover's Songster, and it's a beautiful little like Scottish ditty. That like, and I looked it up because it's like I'm like this has to be real, and it is, and it's almost like I almost want to do like, it's like I want to bring this up for like Bardic Bars ideas, but yeah, Green Girl the Rashes, like, and it was funny because like Carl was kind of killing it, like was kind of like butcher because of course Logan's just like he's butchering the shit out of this. He's not
butchering it. You're murdering it, Carl.
Because it's a song all about just like how I love just hanging out with how I love hanging out with the girls. It's all just like it's a Scottish love song, which of course Scots love their love songs, and like Logan was like in his little happy place, hearing that. Yeah, but the siblings are watching it, like, and it's even seeing that too. That's a little like
they're tearing up, they're breaking down. Yeah, it was great. It was great to get Brian Cox back in here for the finale,
for sure. Yeah. Then Shiv talks to Tom.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Tom, I think, did a credible job of pretending he didn't know that Shiv was out as CEO. Except for that one line of, well, maybe you should just vote it through. I don't know. It seems like if it's just set, maybe you just vote it through. And that's what really cottons Shiv on. And then Tom kind of immediately gets that she's cottoning on and being like, you should know it's me. It's me. And she gets so mad. She's like, he went with an empty fucking suit. And Tom just kind of does like an awkward look.
Right, and which I also think too.
I kind of get like Tom is the only one who has like had a track record of being a competent executive over the course of this entire show. Other than like the other old corporate,
she's never had to eat. Like
exactly, he has done the work. He has climbed the ranks. He has eaten everyone's shit. Yes,
like. He may not be everyone's perfect choice, but the thing is though, and here's the other thing is like they're still fucking married. It's like, and he is still definitely trying to. Well, that's the thing. The last conversation they had is like, I'm not sure if you want to try a real relationship, but like,
and she was the one being like, "Do you want a real relationship?" And then immediately when she finds out that like he's gonna be the CEO, she gets so angry because I feel like in that moment it's like the entire dynamic of their relationship is flipped in a way.
Yeah. Because it's like I think because she sees him as like, I'm better than you. I have more power than you. Right. You're following me around.
But yeah, in a way, that's a dynamic Shiv has always been more comfortable with. I mean, that's where we've seen her operate over the course of this entire show. She was a political advisor to a powerful male progressive candidate. Yeah. She was she was a business, executive to her dad in crisis mode, buzzing around and trying to advise him and guide him. Her entire role with Madsen this season has just been in the shadow of a powerful man trying to advise and steer him in certain directions. That's the dynamic that, like, in her professional life, Shiv has always felt most comfortable in. But, like, in her personal life, up to this point, she has always wanted Tom to be firmly under her, heel.
Subservient with her, having an open relationship, subservient, and like even if even like trying to offer the green, like she like hoping that he was the type of man who would like be open to that type of thing and like fuck other girls, but he doesn't want that either.
Well, I mean, she says that even, but then like earlier this season, she's like, I'm sure you've been like fucking all these models. You know, when they're at that party where they hook up, she's like, look at all these hot girls who aren't tall enough to be models. I bet you just want to like go and throw yourself at them. She's definitely had a string of jealousy about that.
Yeah, even though I think that she doesn't, but it's. I
mean, that shit is always complicated, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah. But no, yeah, I definitely feel like it's like that bit of jealousy because yeah, she's so mad and says that she can't trust anybody. She can't trust Tom.
Yeah, I feel like in that moment it's betrayal, but
yeah,
I think the wheels are turning there too, coming to like getting her to where she is at, you know, by the end of literally the next scene.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Tom grabs
Greg and beats and they have a little slap fight in the bathroom.
Yeah,
like
because he's like, did you fuck? Did you squeal? Did you squeal to them? Because like
you fucking ruined both of us. Yeah, it's Tom's frustrated. But in a way, I do feel like this was Tom's own fuck up too. Because
he revealed that it was like Shiv. Like, I mean, like Greg came in and was like, hey, like this is, I mean, like, yeah, Greg like fucked some shit up because here's the other thing too. He did the same thing Roman did. He didn't get any leverage out of Ken. He didn't get himself anywhere.
Yeah.
Like,
no, but Greg fucked up. But I think where Tom fucked up was the scene at the bar where he's like, Greg, you're gonna be castrated on pay, but we're gonna be all right. Like if he had just, because he was determined to like needle Greg about that.
Yeah.
And that almost fucked him up because
so
Greg was panicked.
Sporus? Hey, you ready to be Sporus? Are you ready? I want to just castrate you and dress you up like my dead wife.
But to everyone watching, get you a if you're get you a guy who loves you as much as Tom loves Greg at the end of the day, because they just can't quit each other.
No. Yeah, but they get into that slap fight and Tom leaves and
calls Mattson big fucking problem, and then we see Mattson actually like scrambling to mobilize, and he seems like energetic for like the first
activated.
For the first time, he's not just like lounging around on a couch somewhere. He's like screaming, "I want to see fucking phones and fucking hands. Let's go!"
Yeah, pretty fucking much. Yeah, tension's very high. Votes are very contested. Their siblings are talking about like, well, like we maybe have Frank on board.
Carolyn comes up to. I like this little moment where Carolina comes up to Shiv, being like, "Shiv, I'm so excited for like a culture change here and an end to all the backstabbing. First thing, can you kill Hugo? My only competition for my job."
Which he's like already like done deal. Like I hate Hugo. Yeah, they're climbing upstairs. Rome sees Frank running around panicking, like, which is like, oh, I haven't seen him run like that in years. Like, okay, so we got people like coming up. Stewie shows up in the office in Dad's office,
and I love this. This exchange with Stewie is great too because he's like, I like hard drugs and weird. I like bad drugs and weird sex. I'm a complicated guy, and Kendall's like, you're pancakes and waffle. You fucking you what was the exact word? You kiss boys on Molly.
Yes.
You know, you're not the heart of darkness. You're a grilled cheese sandwich with a sucked dick. So let's clean you up and make you the chairman of the board.
Yeah, like offers.
Yeah, they offer to make him chairman of the board, which gets Stewie firmly in their pocket.
Yeah.
Then Roman spots Jerry.
Yep.
Which prompts another Roman meltdown.
Yeah.
And this scene is a lot to unpack as well.
Yeah, Roman's very fucked up by her presence, and
because it kind of like it kind of just all seems to like press into him of like he is truly not the guy, and he keeps going back to like his face doesn't look that bad, and Jerry's here, but why isn't it me? And it's like really like how he fucked up with Jerry is why he's not the guy.
Yeah.
But he keeps going back to his face of like, and my face doesn't look that bad. So like if people are gonna see me and wonder why isn't it him? It's kind of just like
it's this self-pitying and self-rationalizing.
It's self-pity, it's a self-rationalizing, it's his like he is not the guy. And he fundamentally realizes that, and he's more just asking like, why isn't it the guy? And Kendall is trying to lie to him here.
Yeah.
Where he's like, oh, it could have been you. Under different circumstances, it could have been you. That's not the case. And he's kind of going along with it's your fate. And then they hug, and Kendall is like grinding his brother's fucking like wound against his
pulls
shoulder.
him in and holds his shoulder to the point where like Roman's like pulling him off of him and like stop, like.
Yeah, but like that stitch above his eye like breaks open. He is like actively bleeding throughout the rest of this episode. It's I mean that right there, Roman is bleeding. His siblings are at war with each other and Roman is bleeding.
Right. To really just seal the deal that I own you and your face is fucked up. You should probably see how fucked up it actually is.
Yeah.
He says like, does that whole fucked up Logan thing of like when he's done with that fucking bear hug of a hug and says, I love you, man. And
yes.
Yeah.
I've just broken you, but I love you. That's very Logan Roy.
Very Logan Roy. Very Logan Roy. Very, very much what his dad was doing to him. So defeating Roman, he exits, and the meeting.
They go to the board meeting, and the board meeting kind of is like perfunctory and very quick up until because it's Kendall's like it's a bad deal. You guys know where I stand. No one's gonna change their fucking mind here. Let's do a vote. And it's like let's see here. Sid and Sandy, Greg and Carl, or Frank and Carl are all yes to the deals. Ewan and basically they go around and it ends up being a 6-6 tie.
Yeah.
Roman hesitates, but he says no quietly, meekly.
But much like his vote with his dad earlier on the first season.
Yes. And then it gets to Shiv, and Shiv storms out. She gets up and she walks away. Her brothers follow her, and then we get the final fucking boardroom fight scene of a show that has had many of these.
They walk into a different conference room, and Ken follows her with Roman and asks, like, "What the fuck, shit? Like, what's going on?"
And she starts off. I mean, really, her entire line throughout this is, "I don't think you'd be good at this job."
Yeah,
and that is a fundamentally true statement. Yeah. That is just 100% true. That Kendall would be a fucking disaster as CEO.
Yeah, and Ken's in complete denial about it right away. He says it
doesn't make so angry. He's like, doesn't make any fun. Where's the what's the logic? And she's like, you be a fucking bad CEO. And they go back and forth, and then Shiv drops the, you can't be a CEO because you fucking killed a guy. Which, I mean, no one has talked about since the end of last season, but that's something that they've known. It's something that's been in the back of their heads.
Right.
And Kendall, I think this is where Roman breaks, because Kendall is like, oh, no, I didn't fuck. Well, first off, Kendall says, which? When she says that, she's like, what which? And they're like, have you killed so many fucking people?
Right.
You don't
like,
know
what's going on
about?
Here? But yeah, no, Ken tries to defend himself that way and say like, well, no, like I
made it up
to
get your guys to get us all on the same page at that crucial moment. And I think that's
huge backfire. Huge.
That's where that's what breaks Roman this moment because Roman has always valued the closeness of his family. The moments of like genuine connection to his family is something Roman has always valued. More than his siblings, I think, or it's something he's needed. Yeah. Maybe is a better way of saying more than his sibling. And I don't know if like what's worse in Roman's head of like you were lying about that or you're lying now, but like seeing the emptiness of all of it. Like no matter, because like once Kendall's done that, that moment is one way or another rendered empty and meaningless.
Yeah.
And I think that is what breaks Roman. And he is immediately like on Shiv's side. He is now arguing with her against Kendall. Kendall starts screaming, "I'm the eldest boy. I'm the eldest boy," and Shiv says, "No, you're not." Poor Connor, just
thrown out of that again.
And then Roman drops in like, well, you're not yours isn't the bloodline though. And this is some fuck shit too that he starts spewing like straight from his dad's mouth.
Yes.
Of like one is a fucking buy-in, and one is, you know, half Rava, half some like office assistant.
Yeah, and then Ken like grabs his face and starts.
He tries to like fucking Gregor Clegane his ass, like squash his face with his fucking hands. Shiv is like slapping at him. Kendall's like going after Shiv, and then Shiv runs out, and then like Kendall is trying to say, Roman, we can still fix this. We can go to Frank and make an offer to Frank. We can like try to and Roman is done. Roman is absolutely done. He is. I don't know if this is like real clarity or if it's just in the moment, but he's like, it's fucking nothing. All of this is nothing. Just stop. It's broken shows and fake news. It's fucking nothing. And he's like, we're fucking nothing. We're bullshit. I mean, this is kind of the line that you and I have always had about this show. And I think the people who are mad about this finale haven't been examining the show on the same level that we are. Or like haven't had that take of like, I have never thought that the Roy children were anything other than bullshit.
No, I mean, yeah, they it's not them either, but it's like, I feel like he's very much getting nihilistic with it, where he's like, well, we're bullshit. Like, all of us here are bullshit. Like we were never really meant for any of this. Like, you know, like we weren't.
That's kind of an extension of like the nihilistic shit he was on during the election episode of like, nothing actually happens as long as we keep the company. It's all nothing, you know. Politics and history is nothing. We can stick our dick into the vagina of the country. And now he's kind of just extended that to himself and his siblings of like, not only is everything nothing, like this is bullshit.
Yeah, it is. I'm sorry, I pulled something up there because I want to show you something. Well, once we're done with all this,
okay.
But yeah, he's
like,
fucking.
To me, this is like one of the most profound moments of like this is the summation. This is what the show is at its conclusion. It's all bullshit. It's all nothing.
Yeah. But the Ken goes up to the board.
He tries to stall. He makes it. He's still fighting. He's still. This is his death flails. Yeah. And then I think it's Frank, who's always been closest to him, being like, Ken, it's over.
Shiv came in, voted.
So yeah, 7-6. You don't have it. It's done.
So then he just goes down the elevator.
He pushes. I love there's just like some random guy in the elevator with him.
Well, it's like once again Jeremy Strong with like killer acting, just acting so much without a single line, man. Like,
really like the acting and like the makeup and like the hair have been so great. Because like immediately once that fight breaks out in the boardroom and like Ken is like walking out, it's so subtle, but like his hair is slightly mussed, his makeup is a little bit bleary. And it's just, it goes from like composed business Kendall to like disheveled druggy Kendall.
Yeah.
In like a very subtle way, but it works.
Yeah. He ends up going down. Thomas CEO. You get the Imperial Death March.
The Imperial Death March. Yeah, and it's like no, like yes, the entire Roy family is bullshit and nothing, but the machine keeps moving. So here's an entire new generation of bullshit and nothing. And he's greeted by like Frank and Carl are watching him being like, oh, maybe we can do like one last rodeo. And Carl's like, you're
golden
fucking
parachute.
crazy. Golden parachute, like one last rodeo. Yeah, we should have cut Tom's throat when he was in the cradle, but like, hey, look, you know, he's a good looking little puppet that we can fuck around with.
Yeah. And Hugo immediately tries to like shit rat to Tom, and it is slapped down for Carolina right away.
Tom looks powerful in this scene. He kind of just like waves his hand, and Hugo goes away, and he's just like left standing there looking around. And you know, Greg comes up to him, and he's like, I'm keeping Jerry. You know, she's comfortable being looking in the shadows. She's good. Frank's dead. Carl's dead. I don't need those old cunts on my shoulder. Yeah. Hugo's dead. And Greg's like, well, anyone else you're keeping? And he looks, you're fucked. You're fucked. You're such a piece of shit, Greg. But then he's like, I have enough capital, and he takes out his little antique sticker, and he places it on his forehead.
He's like,
I've got you.
He's got his Sporus.
He's got his Sporus. Like I mean, that's truly like one of the most beautiful relationships in the entire show. It really is.
All the way back from the what I think what really sold me on their relationship was the panic room scene. I'll always mention that the water bottle fight. Roman is talking to Suits about not wanting to be photographed while he's doing the signing or anything, but he just wants to be done. He gets
Roman's reduced to just being a puppet and somebody else's a prop for someone else's publicity stunt here,
right? Because I'm guessing Kendall didn't want to sign it, so
Kendall was out the building, so they need a CEO to sign it, and Roman is just the last one there,
right? So, he signs unhappily and like walks. Like Madison even tries to joke around of like, do I get
what's your return policy on this?
Yeah. And Rome just fucking fucks off completely.
Yeah, they're taking pictures. It's like Madsen and his gang and Tom and his gang, and they're like Jesus and the disciples at the Last Supper, and there's even Judas in the room.
To Greg.
Everyone laughs. Oh, Greg's such a piece of shit. We love him.
Right.
And then we get like the final. We've had so many of these closing episode montages showing where all the kids are at, and so we go into this final one of Roman is at a bar drinking a martini, and he's got a smile on his face. Like he's got like a wistful little smile on his face as he's sitting there alone drinking his martini. Yeah, like is Roman all right? Is like. But what's your take on this? Is Roman in a good place at the end of this?
I don't think he's in a good place. I still think it's good for him to get away from this thing, but it's like he's gonna be that dude in a bar who's like saying all this like really inappropriate things to women and like getting whores at the bar too. Like he's gonna be that type of cat. Like
yeah, I've noticed his humor was toned down a bit from like the high level gross Roman shit. Like, I think there was one moment on the beach where he makes a joke about Shiv being like he played you like a pregnant cello, and then he stops and he apologizes.
Right. Yeah, I think you're right. He did tone it down. He wasn't doing because it was only an episode ago. He was like making clear and
he was off. He was like, I'm gonna jerk off to Shiv breastfeeding. It's like, oh look, Marsha, she looks good. She's gonna look even better when I'm fucking her on Dad's car. He was like next level last week with the sex jokes.
Right. Like all before breaking down and taking it so everything's so sacrosanct.
So that's Roman. He's in a bar.
Yeah, and then Tom asks Shiv if he wants her to get a
share a car with her on their way out of there. And we see them in the car. And they're not even looking at each other.
Not even looking.
But Tom puts his hand down on the dash, and Shiv ever so lightly.
It was like not even on a handhold embrace. It was like a.
Yeah.
Like I guess, and the look on their face is not like looking away. Like Shiv is just like like in an emotional barren place, and Tom is also just seeking her affection a little bit of it.
Just a little bit of connection, even.
Right.
And maybe that's all these two psychopaths need is just a little semblance of connection. Maybe Shiv can just operate happily, in the shadow of a powerful man, like she's been doing all her life.
Like
weird,
right, exactly. I think it's the man that she picked.
It is the man that she picked.
Right. It's not like the man that holds.
She in a way, she has like groomed him and raised him up into this position.
Right. Dude, she totally has. Yeah, she got a lot of power with that. Yeah, no, it's that's another interesting thing just to see where Tom and Shiv because we don't know what happens with the baby.
We're never going to see any of this again. I don't feel like we're ever going to get any kind of like follow up on this.
Well, yeah, we don't know what happens with the baby at all either, like whether she keeps the baby or not, or like.
Yeah, and like, is this a commitment to doing things differently than her mother, or is this her just doubling down on being her mother?
I'm just eventually saying I should have had dogs instead because I hated my marriage and I took it out on you.
Like, you could see a world where, yeah, they do, their child does turn out as fucked up as all of them are because the poison does drip through.
Yeah. And that actually like Kendall being away from his kid is the best thing. And that's what I see too, when we cut to Ken walking through the park and walking to the coast to look at the sunset.
Yeah. And we've gotten
we've
gotten so many moments of Ken in the water over the course of this entire series. There's him laying face down in the pool and everyone thinks he's fucking dead. There's him like triumphantly basking in the waves after Living Plus.
Yep. Even this episode, he like jumped in the waves when he was feeling high.
Swimming.
Yeah. So it's like when he's feeling really, really, the water is a lot of symbolism for Kendall, and it's with the give and take and the time.
Maybe it's all right. Here's this as an interpretation that just hit me. Okay, we've seen Ken interacting with water in response to like all of his business stuff. When he's at his lowest, he's like fucking drowning. When he's at his height, he's like floating. And now he's out of the fucking game. And so he's not in the water.
He's out of the water. Yeah.
He's just at the water's edge looking out as something separate from him.
Yep. Yeah. When he was in rehab too, there was a lot. And that's the thing. Oh, God, that's where you got to watch this video.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Him in rehab, just like floating in the pool. I do remember that scene.
No. Well, it'll make sense when I show you this thing, but just to like analyze the end of it, like everything you pointed out there, Tim, about like being in the game and being in business and being out of the water with him, like out of the water.
He is now out of the water,
longing to be in there,
and he probably always will be longing for that. I can imagine a future where he just becomes like a serial entrepreneur, just endless startups that always go badly because he's a fucking numbskull.
Right. And it's what his dad said in the first place. It's like, well, just build your own fucking pile. Like make your own fucking. I mean, that's the thing is that like, it's like, you're going to be millionaires. It's like, you're going to be.
Well, they're all billionaires right now. I think at the closing of this deal, I think we originally heard that they were all getting at least $1 billion each.
Okay, so you have hundreds of millions of dollars at your disposal. It's like you can build your own fucking pile.
Yeah, Connor is made whole from his like disastrous presidential run.
Like he could run for president again or a couple other times. Like no problem, be just fine. Like he could actually what he really should do is like support a candidate that like will do all of his bidding and back that person up.
That's fodder for the eventual political comedy Connor Roy spinoff.
We're gonna have to write it with Jesse Armstrong. We're gonna have to
Jesse Armstrong make it happen.
He's like, hey, these are two like working class like American hacks.
No experience writing television or really with any kind of business or politics experience whatsoever, but they got some ideas for you, buddy.
Yeah, we're kind of thinking like Veep, but like a lot funnier with like
Well, and Jesse Armstrong worked on Veep, I think too. I think he worked on all. I think he worked on all of those shows. Like,
oh hell yeah! Oh dude, damn it! I gotta give Veep a watch then, because it's like, man, if he's writing for it, it's like. Yeah, I understand. You've told me before that the reality is a little depressing, but the reality.
I feel like there are parts of Veep that haven't aged great over the past few years, just as our own political climate has gotten more grim. But it is a good show.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, that's I mean, that's the thing. We'll see how Succession ages. I truly think that this show is going to age. It's going to age like Shakespeare, man.
I think so.
It's going to be like one of these series where like you keep going back to
once people get off of their like butthurtness and devastation that their favorite waifu Ken didn't win.
Right, and that's I'm so concerned that's like what people's investment was. Or even though where it's like our prediction where it's like, well, Ken and Greg won, even though like it's still like Mattson won, I guess.
Mattson won, but like Tom is the CEO.
Right.
Like so, I feel like you and I have kind of correctly read what this show is about. In a way that, like, yeah, even some of like the professional TV analysts I would listen to podcasts from about this show were like, oh, I don't know, I think Kendall could win. He's really good at this stuff, or maybe Roman, he's really good at that stuff. And it's like, no, none of these people were ever really shown as being worthy of this job or any of the power and privilege that they have.
Right. Well, it kind of shows with just the whole theme of this episode where it's like, well, Ken seems like the best choice among his siblings, but it's like he's the tallest kid in kindergarten. That doesn't mean shit when it's like you compare it to like the board, like to the rest of the world. When you shine the spotlight on it, they're really not. Like Roman seemed like the shit in his bedroom giving that speech, but then when he actually had to give it in front of people with some real opposition, with some real like other side stuff, he couldn't match it.
Yeah, and even like this season, there have been a couple like people have been like, "Oh, Ken's triumphant here," and it's like he gave 2 good speeches. Right. Like that's the entire like extent of what Ken has done to show himself worthy. It's like 2 good speeches.
Like right. Where, yeah, he's done a lot. I mean, he gets himself out of jams. Like he's good improvisation person. Like he'd be a great person to give TED Talks. Like he'd be a great Gary V person.
Yeah,
he really would. Like
I've said that he would be a good like professional like party host. You know, he seems to do well with that.
Just call Joe Rogan. Like get on his podcast. Get some crypto bros to just like fucking really. And dude, I'm serious, dude.
Joe Rogan would eat Kendall's bullshit up.
Dude, he'd eat it for days, dude. Like, eat it for days, dude. Like, bro, like this, he'd be Kendall's type of. Like, I'm surprised Kendall isn't like just complain to Joe Rogan like on this show. Like that'd be his trend. Dude could control the stocks with the Joe Rogan experience alone.
They probably should have made like a Joe Rogan XP for Ken to like go on his show and complain about.
And Joe Rogan and the 2 people listening to us on YouTube, hey man, like, you know, post on JRE, man. Come on, like we'll come, we'll fuck some things up.
So
people.
Yeah, that's fucking Succession.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna show one last little thing.
Yeah. Give me what you got.
Yeah. I'll show this little. Ooh. It's a little fanboy video that was pretty good. I feel like you should give it a. Ooh, yeah.
My God, I'm so lonely, so I open the window to hear sounds of people, to hear sounds.
For all the Ken boys out there.
Venus, planet of love, was destroyed by global warming. Did its people want too much too? Did its people want too much?
Right, that water theme, Tim.
Yeah, no, definitely.
I just want somebody near me. Guess I'm a coward. I just want to feel alright. And I know no one will save me. I just need someone to kiss. Give me one good honest kiss and I'll be alright. Nobody, ooh, nobody. I've been big and small, kiss. Give me one good movie kiss and I'll be alright. Nobody, 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 ooh, nobody, 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 nobody,
Who they all are. That like endless Jeremy Strong like stare, man.
No, this is kind of like clarifying something for me in my head of like Kendall Roy really in a lot of ways is your prototypical like Tumblr sad boy.
Oh, for dude.
He's like Draco Malfoy or Severus Snape or any of these like sad broken boys that people fall in love with on the internet.
But it's like without the romanticization of that. It's like, yeah, here's him actually being like, here's John Lennon actually being a shit to his kids. Like, here's like how horrible this motherfucker is. Like, without like
people look over that shit all the time.
Oh, bro, dude, like, oh,
and this was not a show that was ever going to reward that, but I think people got suckered into ignoring that aspect of things.
I think
right up until the very end,
projected a lot of shit on there too, and it's like. It also illustrated for me. I mean, we're watching that again, and it's like I gotta give shout out to who edited this right now, the fucker, Sisabet.
Shout out to
dude.
Sisabet.
That edit right there, like, is such a good analysis too of just what Kendall really wanted. Like, it kept having all these shots of like him with Rava, and like that's when he's really happy to then just like. Yeah, that first Logan hug where
there were shots lots of shots of like Logan hugging,
but it's it's that scary embrace where it's like I
probably need to rewatch this whole series at some point.
Oh, bro, well, I got
just like the way like Logan like having his arms draped over Kendall at that table is very similar to like Kendall has done that to Roman throughout this season ever since Logan died of just close physical contact in order to like I don't know, keep
that
this broken
hug
person under your control.
With like the dig into the stitches.
Yeah,
like, that's like that whole Roman, like that's a whole Logan move. Or even I was gonna say too that physicality of when Logan offers that hug, and that's the hug of like, well, you want me to get you or you want me to fuck you? Like and that's the trap. And as soon as like Kendall goes in for that embrace where he just lets go. It's like it's basically like, oh, it's okay, Connie, I got another one. Like, Connie, I got him right here, buddy. Like it's very much like I got him in my fucking trap type. I think this whole video was very good at symbolizing all of that. While it's still Kendall wants to be close with his family, that's the source of where his happiness is. He doesn't know how to be a father with seeing what that's in front of him unless he completely gets away from them.
Yeah.
And he's not going to be anybody if he gets away from them.
No, well said. Man, there's so much more we could talk about with this show. I feel like it's the kind of show we'll be talking about for years to come.
Oh, but, for sure. Unfortunately, we only have about 2 hours. And we do have lives to live, and we do have to find other stuff to talk about. But hey, guess what? The debt ceiling is raised at the expense of poor people again. And there's going to be plenty of issues of poor people getting fucked that we're going to be mad about. So we'll be back.
So we'll be here to cover it. Yes. And I think probably we'll be covering some, going back to our roots and covering some more West Wing here on the channel in the coming weeks.
Yep.
So everyone stay tuned to that. We might be making this Monday record time more permanent.
Oh, really? Oh,
in
yeah.
the near future.
We might be, depending on how the schedule goes, but we want to get a head start and see how our views look for this. Which honestly, it's looking pretty good with a premiere of.
Appreciate everyone in the stream right now. But yeah, I think that's about all for us. Please, everyone, visit James Kunka at Bandcamp. He made our theme song, and he's got some incredible music on there.
Oh yeah, dude.
And visit JenniferMuch.com. She made our stunning logo, and she is there for all of your visual design needs. But yeah, I think that's all for us. So until next time, keep working.
Keep on working.
Back on my feet.